which we're beginning right about now. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Monday, January 8th, 2024. What do we have coming through in our cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card, we are starting our day off with today, and we love it. We've got here our 10 of Pentacles, and they are in their upright. Masculine and feminine energy right now in divine union. This is that level or degree that we see that is amplifying the direction of the work that you are going through right now. It's not the fact that there weren't some triggers that were potentially being hit yesterday, especially for masculine energy that we saw was almost going through a bit of an emotional overwhelm yesterday. But what did we see that was occurring simultaneous to the masculine energy being in a moment of emotional overwhelm? Feminine stepping up into a space or place of stoicism, almost amplifying and reaffirming to the masculine the fact that the feminine is there to support the masculine even at a time that they are feeling that overwhelm. That is what is allowing for that productivity, because instead of amplifying what you are experiencing from the other energy, the energy in divine union is almost acting as a way of facilitating what the other needs. It is that counterpart energy. It is not necessarily coming from a point of perfect reflection, because we don't want perfect reflection. We don't want perfect reflection because what if you're reflecting something crummy on a good day? You don't want that crumminess expanded. Instead, it is that moment of allowing that point of overwhelm to facilitate the opposite in the energy, allowing that to be that flow state, if you will. And so we see now for the energy in the divine union frequency, the ability to almost recognize and feel the support of the other, knowing that you don't necessarily need to be perfect, but whenever you're feeling a deficit, the energy around you is going to come in and fill in the cracks on what you effectively need. It's giving a lot of toolkit energy. It's giving a lot of utility belt. It's giving a lot of that feeling that, again, having that sense of support makes the difference about how we navigate when we're in a space or place of feeling a lack. For masculine energy, that a point, that modality, recognizing that for a lot of masculine energy right now, it's not the fact that you're feeling very emotionally vulnerable. The important thing is not how you're feeling, it is the environment through which you are feeling it. So the masculine energy in the divine union right now feels like it is a safe space. The divine union is creating a safe space where it is facilitating and allowing the masculine energy to be able to drop their armor. It's almost creating a space where the masculine knows that they can be more emotionally overwhelmed or express that emotionality in a place that is beyond or outside of other situations and circumstances, that is amplifying the power of the divine union that the masculine is creating with the feminine at this time. And I'm not saying for, I'm saying with. It is a conjunctive effort. Feminine energy, realizing and recognizing and seeing this in the masculine, seeing a masculine that allows themselves to put their guard down, doesn't feel like they need to have that kind of front of not having emotionality. Being the masculine safe space is almost amplifying. Again, that isn't something. Seeing masculine vulnerable in this way doesn't create a moment of feminine feeling anxiety, especially if this is a feminine that stands on their own 2 feet, which is what we see. Masculine has been amplifying and helping feminine come into their power, which means that feminine is almost putting, as we describe this flag down. Feminine's almost moving in a protective way right now to be able to support what they are creating with and in conjunction with the masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. And that level of productivity is one that feels like it amplifies itself. It feels like it grows. It feels like it expands, because in a way, it allows for something that even when you're feeling a deficit, you don't necessarily feel like you're completely at a deficit, because it's almost that feeling that the other energy is an expansion of the self. The reliance and ability of, again, not needing Not feeling like you need to rely on someone, but knowing that at a moment's notice, that energy is there to support you if you were to stay so or state so, is amplifying that feeling of security and stability in the divine union frequency right now. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is the deepening formation that we saw that was occurring yesterday of masculine and feminine coming deeper into the heart of the divine union frequency. As we are identified, a lot of this energy coming into divine union right now has had to hit a lot of energetic hurdles prior to them coming into this frequency. It's not necessarily the fact that it's easy. In fact, it is almost that observation point that masculine and feminine may be recognizing as they move into the divine union frequency right now, that even moving in that way is attracting a lot of energy towards you right now. Having that be a moment wherein that attraction of energy towards you doesn't necessarily dilute your ability to move into divine union, but rather amplifies what you are creating together in the divine union, is effectively that act of proper discernment. Because again, this isn't a moment that we see that the prioritization of the divine union is one that requires you to drop any and all obligations around you. Instead, it just leads to a bit of energetic and spiritual shuffling that needs to occur, with the recognition point that as long as you maintain your focus and priority, the energy around you will begin to accommodate and adjust for it. I had identified this almost a bit like dropping a ripple into a pond. When you first drop something into a pond, there's going to be an impact. It's going to be a ripple. But once the object is in place, the water does not continue to ripple around it. It starts to move in accordance with it existing. So we see that for a lot of the energy right now that is coming into the divine union frequency, this easement point, which is coming through after some hurdles, after some things that feel like a little bit like that shakiness, as it were, is actually now starting to show itself in the renewed or advanced productivity of the energy around you that, again, through the act of discernment, you have validated and recognized is actually in favor and supportive of the divine union energy that you are creating. This is almost that moment that feels like a point of potential completion, because it's almost potentially going to feel like the hard part has been navigated through. It hasn't been an easy road for energy coming into divine union. There's been a lot of difficult situations. There's been a lot of sticky circumstances, potentially even energy coming towards a divine union with the intentionality of trying to heal something, but recognizing that the timing was off. Having to have that be a moment that recognizes that your own ability to find closure on things doesn't exist in having to open something back up with a past energy, but almost the affirmation that you don't necessarily need to. All of this is allowing for a deepened level of productivity and a deepening of these energies into that frequency. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is that focus and concentration on the self and on one's own environment. We saw that feminine was moving yesterday and the last couple of days coming out of the Mercury retrograde, very articulate, very action focused, very much almost like taking a very pragmatic approach to situations and circumstances, even, and this is why this may have been triggering for a lot of the masculine energy experiencing this. For the feminine energy and separation coming from this point, it may have felt somewhat emotionally overwhelming for masculine and almost a little intimidating. Because again, seeing the feminine embodying their masculine energy like this, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is a feminine energy that may feel to a certain degree like there's no nonsense here. There's not a lot of room for emotionality, because this is feminine almost looking at the masculine and saying to a certain degree, I'm willing to even build a partnership connection with you in whatever way you want, but first you need to tell me what it is that you are seeking. This is that feminine almost coming into a space of trying to say to the masculine that the only real sin or the only real offense that can happen between the two is a lack of clarity and a wasting of the feminine energy's time. And that is why we see the feminine this way, because this is feminine that is keeping their effort and energy driven towards practical spaces and places, what feels like it is productive and supportive in whatever modality that approaches them. This is why we see that feminine is almost trying to articulate to masculine by taking this pragmatic approach, that feminine has a very open mind. This is almost feminine saying to masculine in separation, let me surprise you. Masculine in separation right now, there could be that feeling that we are effectively seeing, because for a lot of the masculine energy in separation right now, there's something that you may potentially be observing, potentially around all of the feminine energy around you, especially if you moved out of the possibility of a divine union to be able to satisfy the needs of other karmic energy around you that was demanding your attention at a time that you were coming into divine union. And you've now fallen into separation as a result of this. This is more of that amplification in that lesson that has been coming through right now, in the sense that if you're moving in the space of actually desiring a divine union, you have to abandon the ability of feeling like you can please all of the people all of the time. Because when you're moving into the modality of divine union, even when you're doing your best to satisfy the needs of the energy around you, there's always going to be a prioritization of care, effort, and responsibility to the needs and the desires and the prioritization of the divine union first and foremost. That has an energetic impact on the energy around you. It's not one that stays like that forever, but it does have an impact. So that's why we see right now a lot of masculine energy. If you are trying to come back into union with feminine, you could be having a lot of productive conversations. If you're allowing yourself an ability to be vulnerable enough to actually articulate to feminine what you want, you may be finding that release, that ability to be vulnerable, is leading to a lot of productive experiences and conversations, because this is a feminine energy that you're effectively giving them something that they can work with right now. Whereas for the other part of the masculine energy, this is something that you may be doing effectively in separation right now, leaving yourself open to a lot of new experiences, a lot of new possibilities. Because again, something about you falling into divine union right now is almost a moment that you may be accepting that you are not necessarily ready or desiring divine union right now, because you are not ready to relinquish your own sense of personal autonomy, your ability to move completely autonomous of another for the gift of the divine union and all of the opportunities that may provide in kind. It's not that one is better than the other, but they're very different experiences. We see that for some of the masculine energy, this is a moment of personal confirmation, of saying to oneself that even though you realize that it does create a little layer degree of there's a depth that some of these situations can reach if you're leaving yourself deluded in this capacity. This is almost something that you're willing to allow yourself to invest and move towards right now, but recognizing that you need to be more open and clear about that as you go forward to allow for better productivity going forward. Second card in our 5-card spread is Four of Wands. These are describing right now things moving into a place or space of productivity. We're seeing this specifically for the feminine energy and separation right now, because I need to effectively clarify that the feminine energy right now in separation is not in a modality where they feel like they need to convince masculine about the bonus and the abilities or the desire of coming into divine union. This is feminine energy that is potentially just trying to see if masculine energy around them, if in separation, is even able to have a productive conversation in these capacities, in these scenarios. Because again, what is feminine seeking from the masculine right now? Feminine is seeking right now transparency, clarity, even around the other energy that is currently surrounding a masculine. If this is a feminine that is articulated over the last few days, a point of confusion in relation to the energy that is surrounding masculine and the prioritization point of the feminine in correlation with that energy. This is feminine energy that if a masculine is at least just giving feminine that clarity, the boots on the ground, giving them that landscape, providing that insight, that's almost an immediate victory for feminine in separation, because that at least gives feminine clear optics on where they are and where that could potentially go. So we see here that even for a lot of the feminine energy right now, if these are conversations you're having with some masculine and masculine's opening up in this way, it's leading to productivity, even if it is creating some course redirection. Feminine energy, if this is masculine energy that is showing some way or degree of refusing to provide that level of clarity, is insisting or denying or creating further confusion, or insisting that the perception of the feminine is off without giving that clarity, this is why we see feminine is severing, ending, cutting those connections for the sake of feminine realizing that it doesn't have to be that complicated, that anything that feels like it is complicating itself for the sake of a point of confusion is potentially trying to create confusion, that the confusion is the point. And feminine's pragmatic quality in this right now is almost just creating a space where feminine is not even, I have to say, this is feminine energy that's not even trying to cut or sever or end those separations in some catastrophic way. This is feminine energy just turning their attention elsewhere. Masculine in separation right now, you could be, again, mirroring feminine, masculine and feminine mirroring each other in separation right now. If you are opening up, if you are doing the hard thing, if you are being vulnerable, if you are just telling feminine how you really feel, what the position of other energy is in your life right now, you are potentially realizing and recognizing that this is creating some kind of bridge here. It's creating potentially some deviation, some change, some course correction as it relates to where something's going. But the ability to both be open and honest is almost immediately getting matched by the part of the feminine. And you may be feeling like you're having the most productive conversation that you've had in several weeks, because again, you are providing that clarity and you are getting that same clarity back in kind. Masculine, if in separation over this, if something that we're seeing caused too much of a trigger point to be hit, if feminine almost articulating to you what they saw for the sake of trying to get clarity, but instead of providing that clarity, you decided or determined that that was not something that you were willing to articulate or express, rather just taking that as a pain point. This is you effectively throwing yourself back into, again, those less deep connections, almost putting yourself out there, spreading yourself around into those opportunities and experiences to see what awaits you, potentially recognizing and experiencing right now, potentially at least a personal point of internal transformation, that in order to do so, you are effectively almost conceding and deciding that that divine union isn't necessarily something that you want to navigate towards right now, but fortunately, potentially being more articulate on the energies around you to allow for better, more productive outcomes going forward. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is Ace of Cups. Now, masculine and feminine energy that are coming into the divine union right now, I need to stress, the energy coming into the divine union, this is going to feel like a lot of breakthrough energy, specifically due to the fact that we are identifying right now. Divine union, energy is coming into the divine union. This is that breakthrough point. This is you getting over a lot of those hurdles and obstacles that we've been seeing, you've been experiencing over the last few weeks as the divine union was taking formation. A lot of energy fell into separation over this. So again, this has almost been that moment of amplifying the energy that is really committed on the path for divine union. And one of the things that we appreciate right now is this is now starting to feel more like the same energy that we see for the energy that's in the heart of the divine union, meaning specifically that point where those difficult unhealed karmic situations that almost had to be addressed in order to continue forward into divine union have effectively been navigated. Anything that you don't feel was in the best interest of the divine union is now starting to feel like it's in the past, it's in the back. You almost allowed it to be, especially from some of that difficult work of closure that you've been doing over the last few days. And again, almost expressing, using this as something that is building and firming up the connection between you and another energy, because it's not that observation or pretending that something isn't difficult. It is navigating those difficulties and hurdles together. Those experiences that are almost becoming or arising and becoming more difficult due to the fact that some energy around you sees you coming into divine union and it's having an impact. This is what is allowing you to a certain degree to almost move in a way that feels almost celebratory right now, because now it's your perception is what feels like it is amplifying the positive, that feels like it is supportive of the divine union. And that in itself is a cause for celebration, is a cause for positivity right now. Masculine and feminine in the heart of the divine union right now. We love this because this is that moment of seeing how much support you're providing one another during a lot of this heavy karmic work that you are intentionally setting your path and purpose on. Masculine and feminine in divine union. These aren't circumstances that have been popping up so much as things that you've decided to tackle head first. You've been moving directly towards the things that are difficult right now, all for the sake of deepening your own healing journey. And it's that moment, relinquishing the outcome, recognizing that the outcome is not one that you're doing as it relates to getting some kind of result from energy around you, but more for that internal affirmation that you can do something is what is amplifying a breakthrough or a celebration point right now. For feminine, it is encountering and experiencing triggering experiences from the past and not allowing those triggers to bring you back into past versions of the self that you may have felt were more unhealed. For masculine, it is this moment of allowing oneself to come into this state of deepened vulnerability, this state of deep emotional expression, but not letting it allow you to close yourself off, almost in a way expanding outwards in the state and space that typically you may have almost closed yourself off or gone more inward. This is almost masculine, extending their own emotional bandwidth by becoming and finding the ability to be more vulnerable and realizing that it is safe to do so. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, this is that moment that, again, if this is a point that we see, a lot of closures in conversation may have arose yesterday. There may have been a moment yesterday for a lot of the feminine energy. If there was a point or an opportunity, we almost saw that in separation, feminine was extending their hand to masculine, almost amplifying and saying, I am giving you an opportunity here to try to heal something. I just need you to be honest. If feminine saw that honesty coming forward, if masculine took that leap of faith to be very clear and upright and open about where they are, the energy around them, letting that be that point of productivity, we see that almost immediately leading to the space or place of potentially coming back into some kind of divine union or alignment here, because it's creating something that feels like it is healthy and productive. Masculine, you may be feeling that too if you took that leap of faith yesterday. For other energies, if that wasn't seen, this is that moment of moving back into separation, and it's going to feel like a very fundamental separation, because this is feminine energy that simply, this is not feminine looking at a masculine that isn't able to articulate on these things and feeling like they need to heal that. This is feminine energy just observing it if they see it in the masculine and turning their attention elsewhere. Masculine, you may be feeling that right now too. If you were too triggered by a feminine that was trying to show you something about yourself, if instead of utilizing that as a pathway to build a bridge with this feminine, if you almost closed a door, then we see that you are also kind of moving yourself back in the direction of leaving yourself open to new possibilities, feeling to a certain extent, allowing those experiences not to be a bridge that you're trying to rebuild with feminine so much as a deepened lesson on what you may need to articulate upon or be more clear upon moving forward. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our 3 of Wands, extremely productive for all energies today. A lot of possibility opening up, a lot of planning, a lot of celebratory energy. We like this. This is some of the best cards that we've seen ever since we had that Mercury retrograde start a few weeks ago. We're coming out of this Mercury retrograde with a lot of amplification on productivity. So we are seeing, to a certain extent, masculine and feminine energy, recognizing, feeling that triumph. This is almost feeling again like the breakthrough has been reached around some of these karmic situations or circumstances that you may have challenged yourself upon prior to the beginning of the Mercury retrograde. Because again, it is coming through something and feeling like that resulted in a point of productivity. That point of productivity is almost, again, that point of observation. And I will stress this. It was coming through the means of control of the self. The reason masculine and feminine in divine union set themselves on this course of facing the unhealed was the observation point that in the past, that unhealed energy created a space or place of reactivity. What do we say when we say reactivity? We mean almost, again, allowing oneself not to move with intentionality and sense of purpose, but just allowing the energy of the unhealed karmics, unhealed coping mechanisms, bad modalities of thought, unhealed karmic connections to trigger you into what may be a non-productive version of self instead of the self that you are trying to move towards that feels like it is healed and on this journey. Masculine and feminine's own ability to come through that karmic situation is resulting in the ability of not letting themselves be reactive, amplifying, not, again, abandoning the outcome. The outcome is within. That is why we see for masculine the ability to experience, to feel an emotional overwhelm, but not get reactive, rather just sit into it, get deeper, feel more. Feminine encouraging the masculine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. Feminine aligned, encouraging the masculine in this capacity, saying, go deeper. It's safe to do so. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stand watch as you do so. I'm going to tell you that I'm not going anywhere as I find you in this modality. Is that point of celebration for masculine, because it is feeling the amplification of recognizing that it is safe to feel those feelings without coming into a point of reactivity. Feminine, allowing oneself to face circumstances and situations that may have triggered you in the past and not letting them trigger you, not letting them bring you into an unhealed version of self, is also that point of positivity and productivity and celebration, because that is the benchmark of success around this karmic healing. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union, that ability right now to discern what feels like it is in the best interest of the divine union versus what is not, is the benchmark. A lot of the work that you've been doing over the last few weeks has been allowing you to recognize the difference between moving from a point of autonomy versus coming into a point of unified direction of purpose. A lot of energy fell into separation because they couldn't do this. A lot of energy could not navigate situations and circumstances wherein one energy thought something was harmless, the other one did not, and separation came as a result of it. Specifically for the energy that was able to do so, this ability, this observation of being able to move from a point of unified perception, of unified determination, is amplifying to all of the energy around you right now that this divine union is in fact present. It's just something to be navigated. It's just a new way of being. And it's not feeling so much now like it's being navigated so much as it feels like it's just sinking into the experience. And further, we see that in itself is almost allowing an easement point for the energy in the divine union to start to plan forward. It's not necessarily requiring so much work in the present. The present is getting easier. And now it's almost creating this path that you can start to plan ahead. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. Any energy that wasn't able to offer this level or degree of clarity, we see as just literally being left in the wayside right now. This feminine energy in separation is almost leaving a door open for anything that's coming towards them from a state or space of productivity and clarity. Without those two watchwords, feminine doesn't want anything to do about it. Doesn't even matter to a certain extent. Again, this isn't feminine energy that is articulating to the energy around them that they must come forward with a specific offer. They must come forward with a specific direction. This is feminine energy saying that the rules of engagement, as it were, are intentionality of purpose and clarity. As long as feminine gets intentionality of purpose and clarity, feminine saying anything is possible. Feminine's almost saying to masculine, I am extremely flexible. As long as you provide me with intentionality of purpose and clarity, wait till you see what we can do with that. Feminine's like, I can make that from anything. And this is why we see that a lot of the feminine energy right now is almost allowing this point of having a point of celebration right now, because something that feminine's even seeing in their own experiences is amplifying, even in the spaces and places that isn't working, how much that works when it is actually happening. Feminine almost is having this happen in every other point in their life right now, which is, again, if this is a feminine energy that has a lot of productivity happening in every other space in their life, except with a connection of a particular masculine, then that's almost showing to a certain extent feminine with clarity just how much feminine can do with clarity of purpose and intentionality. The baseline of operation here, which is why we see that feminine's either saying right now and looking at things very practically and saying either it's there or it's not. Either it's there or it's not. You're either providing that, and if you're not, and if feminine is seeing that if it's not, I have to stress, this isn't a feminine energy that's sticking around to figure out why there isn't intentionality and purpose and clarity, because feminine's realizing that lack of intentionality or clarity indicates one of two different things. Either it indicates someone that does not have intentionality of purpose and clarity, almost wandering aimlessly, if you will, through the experience of their own experience, or someone who is intentionally denying offering the feminine their intentionality of purpose and clarity because they don't want to work in collaboration with the feminine so much as they want the feminine to serve their own needs and desires. This is why feminine is like, again, taking that pragmatic approach and saying either it works or it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, feminine is very quick to move away from it right now. Masculine energy right now, you could be seeing a lot of the feminine energy if you're in separation, taking and adopting this very pragmatic approach. If anything, this is a moment for masculine that you may be feeling. And again, a lot of the anxiety point that we're potentially seeing with some of the masculine energy and separation right now may be feeling a little bit like an outside-in approach. Again, seeing a lot of energy right now that is almost asking you and saying that they want to come into this point of productivity with you, but you must first articulate upon what it is that you are truly seeking. This is almost like, again, masculine. You may be feeling like this question, if in separation, is coming towards you from a lot of different places and spaces. And the important thing about this is almost the energy doing so. It feels like it's not doing so for the sake of the desire of asking or trying to get something from you. It's almost trying to amplify that there's something here about that energy trying to say this, to say like they're concerned about you. They want to make sure that you're on this path. They want to make sure that you understand what this is. So for a lot of masculine energy right now, either, again, this is a moment that you are having some breakthrough conversations in separation, a point of productivity, getting and offering that clarity and getting it back in kind. Versus for some masculine energy right now, if you're doing this entirely in separation, it could be this moment that you feel like, again, there is a surfeit of options. There is a surfeit of opportunities around you at this time. The hurdle for a lot of the masculine energy at this moment would be almost trying to amplify and understand what your true direction is. It's almost making you get much more internal on your journey, almost asking yourself like what that higher purpose is. Because again, it's almost feeling like there's so many opportunities around you, but you're recognizing that there's a limitation, because this is the question that they're effectively asking as you come towards them. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is clarification coming through right now. What am I telling you? Masculine and separation. This is literally potentially feeling that pragmatism of the feminine energy right now. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is a feminine energy that's almost saying to the masculine, you can have anything in the world, but you got to tell me what that is. You can have anything you want, but you got to tell me what you want. The only thing you cannot have is anything, because if you don't articulate on what it is, this is feminine almost saying you get nothing. Again, if you can't come towards the feminine with an intentionality of purpose and clarity, this is feminine saying anything is available to you unless you don't come forward with those things. If you're not able to come forward with an intentionality of purpose and clarity, if you're trying to come towards the feminine right now, masculine, and you're saying to them, I'm up for whatever. I want to see where something goes. I just want to go where the wind takes me. I just want to that's in a way masculine. You may be feeling like that is the moment that feminine's like, that's good. I hope you have fun doing that. Because this is a feminine energy that's almost saying to the masculine, you need to come forward. You need to tell me what you are offering. You need to give me that clarity on where you are going, because this is feminine saying, I need to know. I need to either be able to match you on that, or I need to decide that this isn't somewhere that I want to go. This is almost feminine in a way, almost waiting for the masculine in a way. If this is masculine asking the feminine, this is feminine almost saying to masculine, you go first. You go first, because this is feminine that doesn't want masculine to take her work here. This is feminine that's almost saying to masculine, like, no, you can't reflect me in this. I don't want you just to reflect what I want. I want to know what you want. Tell me what you want. Because for feminine, why isn't feminine eager to tell masculine what it is they want unless masculine goes first? Because this is feminine energy, as I've indicated to you, that just feels, a lot of this energy feels like they got put into separation because of a masculine that was not able to prioritize the needs of the feminine versus the energy of other feminines around them. This is why the feminine is not moving in a space or place where they're eager to offer this before the masculine does, because this is feminine that feels to a certain extent that masculine may just be offering feminine lip service. This is feminine that feels to a certain extent that they just recognize a masculine whose words did not match their actions. So this is a feminine that does not want to offer this to masculine first, because this is feminine that's just coming out of experiences and saying, I was just in a relationship, or feminine's going, I was just in a situation wherein I said I wanted something, someone else said they wanted it too, but then they acted out of accordance with what we said that we desired. This is why the feminine, to a certain extent, is almost looking right now and leaving themselves open to masculine, but in a way is almost amplifying that masculine needs to have that clarity of self in the self right now. Feminine wants to see that on the part of the masculine to make sure that this is not a masculine energy that's just going to say what the feminine wants to hear. This is not a feminine that's looking for masculine. The feminine goes, I want X, Y, and Z. And masculine going, I want that too. This is feminine that almost goes, I don't believe that. You had desires before meeting me. You had desires before we started being in conversation. Tell me what it is that you're seeking. And this is feminine saying, I am telling you whether I am open to receiving it. Masculine, coming into trying, like in separation right now, you could be seeing a lot of feminine that is, again, open to a lot of things, potentially very open to them asking, allowing this point of productivity, but they're asking you to be very articulate as it relates to what it is that you're seeking, what it is that you're offering. This is a feminine energy. And again, masculine and separation. You may be feeling like you're walking a very fine line right now, because again, this is masculine. If you are moving right now in separation, you may be having productive conversations right now with the feminine energy. They're difficult conversations, but they're productive, because we're seeing here that your ability, how well these conversations are going right now, masculine, it depends on how open you are, how honest you are on giving feminine the full landscape of what is going on in your life and the connections therein, so that feminine can effectively tell you whether they're willing to proceed with you or not. And there is a point of anxiety here, because you're recognizing and realizing that, again, this isn't something that you are trying to navigate around the feminine's own desires on. You're recognizing that the feminine, if you're moving in this way, you're giving them the gift of choice. And when you give someone the gift of choice, they can make the choice of not proceeding. But even now we see for the masculine, recognizing that is helping amplify your own healing journey, because recognizing that feminine should have a chance to make a choice is the healing. that needs that requirement. If you want someone that is a partner gets to be able to have some kind of say. Masculine and in separation right now, this, if you're not building this conversation, this is potentially new bridges that you're trying to build with new feminine energy. But again, as I said, you may be recognizing that if this is a moment that you are deciding that you do not want to move into divine union, if you'd rather not have that point or opportunity, and recognizing that when you move in divine union, you have to prioritize the divine union around the energy around you. If you're making the intentional choice of almost articulating going forward that that is not something that you're seeking, you're just seeking to kind of like dilute your energy around all the different experiences, not necessarily letting go of any opportunity, you're recognizing that that leaves you a lot of autonomy, a lot of possibility. It does create a limitation in the feminine and how far a feminine's willing to open up and go with you. But even that recognition point is a breakthrough, because you're recognizing what you need to tell the feminine, and you're giving them the power of their own choice as to whether they want to invest in an experience of connecting with you in that manner. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now. This ability of masculine recognizing that there is something now about the change in terms of how you're conducting your own life right now, recognizing again the prioritization of the energy around you right now in the divine union. That amplification point, it doesn't feel like a limitation. It doesn't feel like a limitation. It does feel, to a certain extent, that sense of recognizing that it feels like you have a co-creator now in your own existence. You are co-creating with someone. And when you co-create, they have the power and the ability to say what they are or not comfortable with. That's that choice that we're seeing. But again, This is some TARDIS effect here. This isn't something that feels like it is infringing upon your possibilities. Instead, it almost feels like it is expanding the possibilities, because having that ability to co-create with someone feels like it is an expanding, expansive opportunity instead of one that feels like it is curtailing your own experience. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, you already know this. This is old hat for you. I'm probably singing to the choir here. But why we see that a lot of this intentionality coming through right now, having this point of masculine and feminine that we're in the divine union frequency, that instead we're putting their time, effort, energy, and attention in addressing things that were intentionally unhealed, directly moving towards the unhealed thing. This is why. Feminine is feeling the power and the confidence and the breakthrough in being able to recognize the control over their own self. Experiencing something triggering and not letting it trigger them is the breakthrough for feminine. It's expressing and articulating feminine's own power and control over the self, coming through in terms of, again, stoicism, the abilities and the gifts that masculine has been creating for them in the divine union frequency that's helping them come into their own power. Masculine, seeing a feminine energy in this power, recognizing that your own ability or degree to create a space for feminine to stand in this way is almost feeling like a breakthrough for you as well. Because it's that moment of being able to enjoy the fruits of your own efforts, because this is feminine energy that is allowing you to be in your most authentic, most vulnerable expression of self, being able to feel like you can be your most vulnerable, true version of self, healing your inner child, coming into deepened states of vulnerability, and the power of the feminine being one that's safeguarding, acting almost as a watch, as a warden, as it were, to protect you as you allow yourself that deepened level of vulnerability, isn't again also amplifying your own ability of feeling a breakthrough around some of those unhealed karmic connections, because it is allowing you to experience and embody the full breadth of your emotions without getting reactive or closing off from it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 10 of Pentacles in combination with our 4 of Wands. May I please have one card to clarify? Strength. This is a strength test for the energy. I told you, the energy in the divine union. The result was not the point. There was not an external result in moving in this capacity. This wasn't a point of action, reaction. This was something that the masculine and feminine, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender but what it feels most aligned to, intentionality of purpose to try to heal the unhealed, was a strength test, an internal strength test for masculine and feminine, energetically aligned in the divine union frequency. Masculine is learning that strength of endurance, being able to leave themselves open and vulnerable, feeling a much larger breadth of experiences without allowing it to make them feel closed off or reactive, is the breakthrough. That's that patience that we see that is almost coming through as a moment of emotional or spiritual expansion that doesn't feel like it is more coincidental so much as it is expanding the intentionality and ability of masculine to hold that pose, if you would. Feminine, the ability right now of becoming into your full expression of self and feeling the support of a masculine that is allowing you not only to be your most authentic expression of self, but further has created such an environment of safety that you can confront triggers of the past and not necessarily react in the same way because you feel that you've become stronger, is again amplification of feminine energy's own journey into strength, because it's strength of the self through the supportive energy around the feminine. Masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union. This ability to prioritize the divine union is now almost a cause for celebration. It's feeling like you've gotten through that difficult hurdle. And now it's almost starting to feel like the benefits, the true benefits of the divine union frequency are starting to really show themselves to a certain degree, because again, a lot of it did require you having to go through some hairiness. It almost required some energy to have to kind of shake away from you as you were coming into divine union. But that observation that not everything is going to be aligned to you as you continue to change your frequency, even recognizing that also recognizes that eventually that does ease to a certain extent as you kind of come into the heart of that frequency. So even now, that moment is now feeling again that positivity coming through and being able to now move into more of a custodial nature is what we see for a lot of this energy moving in this frequency right now, because now it is almost a moment of making sure that you kind of stay on course, if you will. Masculine and feminine in separation. This point right now, whether we see both energies right now moving together in union, even in separation, these energies are on the same unified path as it relates to healing. Feminine is making it really clear right now. If you come towards feminine with clarity and intentionality of purpose, anything is possible. It's literally the only message I'm getting right now for feminine and separation. Clarity and intentionality of purpose, productive ground. Anything is possible as long as there's clarity and intentionality of purpose. Feminine realizes they can't generate this in a masculine. If a masculine is moving right now from a place where feminine tried to bring clarity to a situation in order to get clarity and intentionality from purpose from masculine, and if masculine isn't providing this, this is feminine just course correcting. This is why feminine in separation right now is utilizing this as a moment of deeper healing through feminine holding strength right now, because this is feminine energy that feels like they are maintaining healthy boundaries through stating anything is possible. This isn't feminine saying no to anything. This is feminine moving from a yes approach, saying anything is possible. Intentionality, clarity of purpose. But without those two things, nothing is possible. So that's all why we see that this is a feminine that's not letting themselves get caught in this. This is feminine just re-amplifying that message over and over again to the masculine. Masculine, if you are in separation right now, you may be feeling like a lot of the feminine energy is all around you right now, and even the new possibilities that you're going towards right now. If you're moving away from a feminine, that I have to stress right now, there may be a lot of masculine energy that moved into separation due to an argument over clarity and intentionality of purpose. And now masculine, you may be finding that you're moving towards a lot of feminine, new opportunities right now of new feminine energy that is almost saying to you, what is your, please be clear and tell me what your intentionality of purpose is. So this is, again, all roads leading to this journey right now to a certain extent, because we see here that this is where we find the feminine collective right now. This is what the feminine wants. Again, not necessarily dictating what that path looks like, saying to a certain extent the availability and the possibility of being open to many different paths, but there needs to be a clarity and intentionality of purpose as it relates to what that path is. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. And that's why this is potentially becoming an internal journey for a lot of masculine in separation, because if you don't know that, this is a feminine that's almost saying, I'm not willing to provide it to you. You need to come with it. You need to come with that possibility. You need to come with that clarity. This is why for a lot of masculine, that question is now potentially becoming an internal question. Clarity between our Four of Wands and our Ace of Cups. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Eight of Cups. What is the one thing that feminine is saying to masculine right now in separation? Which is, again, I'm open to any direction you want to go into, but I'm not open to telling you the way. I'm not open to telling you the way. I'm not open for you just tagging along, as it were. Because this is, again, feminine energy that feels like the lesson that brought them into separation right now is masculine energy that feels like, to a certain extent, that there is a lack of intentionality and purpose that was articulated in masculine, potentially saying that they wanted something, but their actions making it clear that they did not know and recognize what was going to be necessary in order to move towards that goal. This is why we see the feminine energies like, I'm not going to tell you what that is. You need to tell me first, because this is feminine that feels like if the one thing that feminine's trying to protect against is a feminine that says, I'm going this way, I'm going this way, I'm going that way, I'm going northwest, and masculine going, that's where I want to go. And then feminine starts walking in that way with masculine, and suddenly masculine's going 4 degrees west. This is feminine saying, we're going northwest, and masculine was going, oh no, I'm going in the same direction. And feminine's like going, you're literally walking in the opposite direction. This is why we see right now that feminine is feeling that point of becoming, and for the masculine, I need to stress, there could be something that feels like this feminine energy isn't really open on an emotional level right now. This is a feminine that's looking at things very practically, because there's almost a moment with feminine that says or is amplifying that they feel to a certain extent that some of the masculine energy around them lacks direction, lacks GPS. Remember we were talking about that internal GPS? That's feminine saying, I can't put that GPS system in you. You got to come with it working or not. It's got to be functional. And you can't say that you're going in one direction, that you want something, and then not take the steps necessary to get there. This is why we see that this is feminine that is looking right now. If masculine is approaching feminine with intentionality and clarity of purpose, the next question, if this is feminine that's had issues with masculine in the past, is what are you going to change to get us there? Because if there was something here that was requiring a realignment point, this is where we see that this is now becoming a productive conversation. If this is healing work, because this is, again, utilizing anything that's happened recently to address anything that may have created a conflict point. But in reality, if you guys are aligned in that intentionality and clarity of purpose, you can look at the problems productively, because you're not looking at them as marks against each other. You're looking from a unified perspective of what is standing in our way from getting to that place. So we see here for masculine and feminine, if in separation right now, having these difficult conversations could be leading to new points of productivity, because it's amplifying whether there's a moment here of being able to overcome a hurdle and roadblock by looking at something effectively and working together to fix it, versus energy that is simply closing doors right now, particularly if someone is trying to bring to mind something that is not meant as something against someone, but something that is a roadblock. If instead of someone allowing that to be a point of productivity, but instead is coming into denial that such a roadblock exists, or refusal to understand or acknowledge, this is why we see that so much energy is just not even bothering. I have to stress, not even bothering to argue, not even bothering to have the conversation, is just turning their attention elsewhere for the sake of their own feeling of emotional and spiritual stability. This is a lot of energy right now that is simply turning their backs on blockages right now, because it feels like they're doing what is in best interest of the self. Almost this point of identifying and saying, I'm going in this direction. If you ever catch up, if you ever realize why, you know where to find me. But we see here that that's leading that feminine into that pragmatic space right now in separation, which is, again, come correct. Because the only, and almost like, again, feminine being flexible, because almost saying the only thing I cannot tolerate right now, the feminine saying in separation, is anything that's trying to create a blockage to waste the feminine's time. Feminine does not want anything that feels like it is just leading them to a dead end, or someone trying to navigate them into a space or place where they're saying one thing is happening when something else isn't. Masculine, you may be feeling this. Again, you're either having very productive conversations right now in terms of how to get over some roadblocks that may have happened over the last few days, or you are turning your attention elsewhere. The problem you're seeing potentially right now, masculine, is an internal journey that you're recognizing that as you move forward in this way, you are almost asking yourself what it is that you truly want. And what is that higher purpose? Because it's almost that moment that you're feeling like something that's led you to this point that may feel like a dead end right now, almost is requiring you, either internally or externally, to amplify and articulate what that place is. Where is it that you're truly going? What is it that you're truly seeking, that it has you on this journey in the first place? Especially if this is masculine energy that in one way, shape, or form has articulated that you don't want divine union. What is the shape of what it is that you're truly seeking right now, so that you can be able to effectively manifest it in the energy that's around you at this time? You need to be able You can't go somewhere. You can't find something unless you know what it is that you're seeking. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is the movement into divine union. You found that path. You're moving right now as co-creators in the divine union that you are taking shape, that you have built. And now we're feeling here that easement because things are almost getting easier for a lot of energy moving into that frequency, specifically because you're focused on the same outcome. You're moving in the same direction. You're recognizing the prioritization of the direction of the divine union as the prioritization point. And I have to stress, it's going to feel a lot less like you're trying to get somewhere so much as you've arrived. And that's how you know that you're doing it right, because the energy in the divine union, it's not creating that amplification of having to do something so much as it's almost feeling like that point of easement and feeling like you've already kind of got there to a certain extent. You've already crossed that hurdle. It's not that everything is smooth sailing from that point. It's almost creating that sense of like easement, because it's almost that moment of identifying the only thing that's getting amplified here for the energy moving into the divine union is what else do you want it to look like? Where else do you want to go? And this is why we see this as potentially coming into some planning right now on how to come into better union in the physical to match where you are on the spiritual. Masculine and feminine deep in the heart of the divine union frequency right now. This is that moment that feels more like an act of expansion. The only thing that we see, and much like aligning to the energy coming into the divine union frequency, is maintaining what you've created and almost in a way expanding it, making it greater. What else do you have? What is that next step? What does it look like? Because again, it's not the fact that you stay stagnant in this way. The ability to be in divine union allows you as co-creators, as it were, to be able to really ascertain, to explore, to understand, to build together. So we see that for a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency right now, discussions, plans, laying that groundwork in terms of not just where you are, but where you're going, feels like a point of breakthrough. And a lot of that isn't on an internal level to get over a lot of internal hurdles that you feel may be blocking you in terms of being able to move in that way. One of the things that we're seeing right now for the energy in the divine union frequency is the differentiation point between what you aspire for and what may feel like a bit of an internal blockage, to be able to navigate through the unhealed internal blockage, to be able to move with a greater easement into that ideal life or situation or aspect that you desire. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Cups in combination with our Three of Wands. May I please have one card to clarify? Two cards coming out right now. Oh my God, I love these cards today. Let's glue them down. We've got here our Three of Wands in combination with our Ace of Cups. Look at all of this energy today. This is beautiful. Feminine holding the same energy and the same vibration that we found the feminine in yesterday. Feminine continuing to utilize this moment right now to plan, to coordinate, feeling the support. And why does the feminine feel like that right now in the energy of the divine union? Because again, feminine knows there's a masculine here that supports seeing feminine in this modality. This is a masculine that is acting as feminines. Look at this. Protecting feminine. Not even having to do much. Not even having to do much. This is not a knight. This is not someone rushing to the aid of a feminine. This is a feminine that knows that there's someone there that will protect them at a moment's notice, but it isn't something that the feminine needs. It is having that sense of support, knowing someone is there, not leaning on them, not requiring it, not demanding it, not feeling like someone's only purpose is to do that, but having that gentle, what did I keep saying about gentle encouragement? Knowing someone's got their back, literally. Knowing someone has their back in the divine union frequency is all the feminine needs in a way, because it is giving feminine that feeling of confidence, of empowerment, that is allowing feminine to make the choices that the feminine would ideally aspire and desire to make. What does a feminine, when healed, aspire and desire to make? They want to be their most creative, passionate self. They want to take care of themselves, and they want to take care of the energy around them, and they want to plan ahead for the future. Shocker. Shocker. This is what a field feminine energy looks like. I would never have imagined. And again, feminine is feeling that support in a masculine that's almost saying to feminine, I knew that this was in you all along. I never doubted it because I never saw anything different. Masculine, in this modality right now, there is this moment that, again, even at this point, we have to say, Masculine energy, having that sensation of a feminine that you know is supportive of you at your most vulnerable, is actually bringing you into a deep state of inner child healing. It is, I have to stress this, it may feel right now like masculine energy, if in divine union, you may feel like you're regressing a little, but you're regressing in a positive way. You're not regressing in a way that you are looking to the feminine from a point of neediness. This is a masculine that feels like they're healing their inner child by being in connection with a feminine energy that is expressing all of the positives that one would expect to see in a healed feminine energy. Why is the feminine energy in a healed capacity? Because masculine has been creating an environment that shows the feminine that it is safe for them to thrive and to let that be their priority and focus in divine union. This is a chicken and egg thing happening here. So masculine is almost coming into a more childlike, exploratory nature, but the positive characteristics of a healed inner child, which is again a sense of adventure, a sense of exploration, a sense of fun, a sense of joy, a lightening of the burden, a point and a sense of play, of easement. And this is a masculine that feels like, again, the ability to let their armor down is not one that is creating a vulnerability in the masculine. It is creating a sense of delight and joy and mirth. It is allowing the masculine to tap into that sense that they may not necessarily have felt since they were much younger. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this ability right now, and this is why we see this is a bit more heavy path work. The energy coming into divine union right now, the ability of masculine to see things from a different perspective. The ability of masculine right now to rise to the challenge of, again, putting the feminine, the connection with the feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to letting this be the priority. Masculine feeling that moment of creating a prioritization of the feminine, it's almost feeling like it's bigger than just the feeling of a particular feminine. It feels like it is what you are creating with that feminine. It is like creating, creating and carving out your own domain, if you will. Again, coming into a space of a place of, again, not feeling to a certain extent that you have to defend this feminine energy. The feminine is not asking you to do so. It is that feeling that you are coming into a state or space of co-creating with the feminine, having almost found, like, again, your prioritization point, that energy that you are feeling a need and desire to want to protect, to want to nurture, not because they require it, but because you desire it. That moving from a state or space of choice and amplifying the choices that you're making together is what we see is moving you deeper into the heart of the solidification of the divine union right now. Because again, it is feeling almost like you're creating territory where territory hasn't existed before. You're creating something where something was not. Feminine, seeing a masculine move in this modality may feel like a sea change, because again, this isn't something that you have to demand or ask the masculine to do this. This is the power and the strength of seeing a masculine that through their day-to-day choices are making it clear that you are the priority, that the divine union is the priority, not because they have to, but because they desire to. And that ability is being expressed in the ability in paying first and foremost attention to what feels like it is prioritizing the divine union above everything, and the ability to lay plans going forward. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is that dividing line that's articulating between what feels like it's productive, between what feels like it's not. For a lot of feminine energy right now, this is stressing the fact that feminine, in a way, feels like there's a lot of masculine energy potentially that's coming towards them in separation that is almost feeling like a lot of novice energy here. Feminine almost looking towards the masculine right now and almost feeling to a certain extent, again, waiting to see if masculine has learned these tools independently, because feminine does not want to be in a caretaker role with the masculine. Feminine is reason the feminine is not wanting to dictate to masculine right now what it is they want, and having masculine going, yes, I want that too, is because feminine's like, I does not want a masculine that simply agrees and goes along with anything that the feminine says. Feminine recognizes that that is not a divine union. That is a caretaker situation. That's feminine saying, I need to see a masculine that is in a modality that the masculine has that sense of enterprise, has that sense of adventure, has an internal GPS, knows what it is that they want so that they can in fact act as co-creators together in carving out that space. This is why we see right now that feminine energy is literally looking to the masculine and getting very like yes, no, getting very like determinative in terms of whether that energy stays or goes based on what the masculine is articulating in relation to, again, I'm going to say these words, I'm going to drill these words in because these are the two words that just keep coming through. Intentionality of purpose and clarity. Intentionality of purpose and clarity. What do you want? Where are you going? What do you want? Where are you going? And for feminine right now that's building back with a masculine recognizing, and this is almost feminine saying, if there have been blockages on that, we can address those, but it needs to start with the masculine amplifying what it is that they want and where they're going. And this is almost a feminine saying, I'm not forcing you to choose me. Feminine saying, I just need to know where you're going so that I can figure out how best to work with you. That's a feminine, again, not saying to masculine, this isn't a feminine trying to chase this masculine down or to adjust the masculine's determination on what they want. This is feminine literally coming from a point of saying, do you know what you want? Do you know what you want? Because if this is a feminine that feels like there was a confusion between masculine and feminine in this is feminine fearing that maybe masculine doesn't know for themselves. That's why we see a lot of feminine energies ready to close chapters right now, because feminine is going through a moment where they're trying to determine whether masculine is either keeping this from this feminine intentionally for fear of the feminine making a choice on their own, or a feminine feeling that maybe this masculine doesn't have a direction. Masculine, you may be seeing this on the part of a lot of the feminine energy around you right now. And again, either you're trying to build back with a feminine. And again, if that's a moment wherein the feminine revealed something to you that they saw that they didn't feel like was in alignment with your clarity of purpose and your intention, this is becoming an act of self-correction. Because again, it is recognizing that anything that the feminine is saying to you from that point is not meant as a jab. It's not meant as an insult. It is meant as a desire to try to get clarity on something they are seeing versus what you are saying. For the other part of the masculine energy right now, if you are in separation over this, if there's something that the feminine said that instead of utilizing that as a point of wanting to wrecking mind, wanting to ease, wanting to adjust, wanting to recalibrate, if instead you just closed a chapter with a feminine for that, we see even now you may be feeling like you still have to answer the same question that feminine was asking you in order to move towards the new feminine that you may be aspiring or desiring to build with right now. The question is not disappearing. It's just coming from different vectors, as it were. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Three of Wands in combination with our Queen of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. Feminine in separation, and I cannot say this loudly enough. Literally, this is feminine energy saying, feminine is saying, I am open and available to all sorts of different things. This is a feminine energy. I have to stress, I cannot stress this enough. Feminine energy in separation right now is not saying they need something a certain way. This is not feminine energy saying you need to know how to foxtrot, you need to know how to tango. This is feminine saying, I am open. This feminine saying to masculine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I am open to a cornucopia of possibility, a myriad, a plethora of different scenarios or situations. Let me surprise you. But feminine saying the only thing that feminine is not open to, if in separation, lack of clarity, lack of intentionality. This is feminine energies looking at masculine saying, don't you dare come towards me and say, I don't know what I want. I don't know. What do you want? Because this is feminine that's seeing that right now and saying that is the boundary. That is, without that clarity, Without that intentionality, feminine saying there's nothing that we can build upon. There is no ground through which we can thrive. There is nothing here, which is why we see that feminine is closing so many chapters right now. If there's masculine energy that cannot provide this clarity of purpose and this intentionality, because even in separation, if feminine's leaving themselves open to new possibilities with masculine, it's starting with clarity of purpose, intentionality. We cannot create something where nothing exists. Feminine saying, I can't make something with you if you don't have anything that you want to make. And this is feminine saying, I don't have time to have it wasted if we're not moving or growing towards something. This is why we see that feminine saying, tell me what you want. Tell me what that looks like. Tell me what shape that is. Be vulnerable. Be vulnerable and expect, let me surprise you as it relates to my own desire to do so in kind. But it needs to start with the masculine we're seeing, because feminine no longer trusts that if the feminine feels like that they say what they want, masculine's going to go, yup, me too. Feminine's almost not taking that right now, because that's feminine saying, feeling in some way that they've learned the lesson that a masculine saying yes, like this, and then doing whatever they were doing amplifies a masculine that like is willing to give lip service to feminine without actually having that internal calibration as to what it is and what it's going to require to get to that point. Masculine in separation right now, you may be feeling this right now with a feminine. Either you're forging new ground, you're healing right now. This is giving a lot of indication that there are some energies right now in separation, having some productive conversations over how to build new ground, to set this path, to move forward again. I'm going to say it again, with clarity and intentionality of purpose. This becoming a realignment, a readjustment, a rebuilding moment for other parts of the energy right now. This is new chapters opening up, but even for the masculine in separation right now, if you're moving towards feminine, you may be feeling like a lot of the feminine energy around you right now is holding a very firm line. And that firm line, surprise, surprise, intentionality, clarity of purpose. State your business. What do you want? Where are you going? What do you want? Where are you going? What do you want? Where are you going? Masculine and feminine in divine union, this ability right now, you are laying new ground. You are making something where something did not exist. You are creating a domain for yourselves that exists in the divine union. It's like that TARDIS effect I keep telling you. It starts feeling bigger on the inside because, again, for masculine, it's that recognition point that coming into union with feminine like that just doesn't mean like feminine is an object or a possession. They're not just something that you have. They're someone that you create with. There's someone that the experience becomes more expansive because it opens and it broadens the possibilities of what you can do if in union. So we see that for both masculine and feminine right now, something very beautiful that's potentially occurring if you're moving into the divine union frequency is that feeling that masculine, you may have always felt prior to this, that coming into divine union was just going to be having that energy around you that says like, no to whatever you want to do. But instead, you're potentially feeling that that it's broadening the possibilities, that it's creating all of these new endless opportunities and experiences. Because again, that is not necessarily an energy that's trying to stop you. That's an energy that feels like they're giving guidance. They're giving insight. They're lending to the work that you're doing. It doesn't feel like you're tearing something apart. It feels like you're building in a way that you haven't built before. Feminine, you may be seeing this right now on the part of a masculine who, again, is working with you not as someone who's just in their life, but who is a part of their life, someone they are creating a life together with. That ability of looking at something right now feels like there's new ground that you're building, because it's almost like your possibilities are expanding because it's allowing you a level or degree that you could not come across simply on your own. Masculine and feminine in the heart of the divine union frequency right now. This ability that we are seeing is one that you've been in this for a bit now. Your intentionality of purpose is always allowing for new opportunities. It's never at rest. You're always seeing, you're always trying to expand, you're always trying to grow. Nothing ever stays static in this space. Instead, This ability we see, this ability to kind of confront the unhealed and realize that it doesn't have the same reactivity point that it did in the past, is almost building an amplification for you right now, that nothing is on the off the table. Because again, if these are moments or experiences where you went back to past circumstances and you were able to heal them, and realizing that that healing wasn't even necessarily a place or space wherein you felt like you healed the energy around it, so much as you realized that you further healed the self by not coming into a reactivity state from that unhealed circumstance or experience. This is allowing a whole new endless array of possibilities to expand, because it's almost allowing you to be able to do back work on stuff. You just realized that a lot of stuff that used to trigger you no longer triggers you, which means that you're getting to confront it all for the first time, because it feels like a brand new experience, because you're not getting reactive, which means that you're becoming, that it offers a whole new territory of understanding and growth, because what you are receiving from a past circumstance or experience isn't the same as it always typically does. That something that may have hurt now has the capacity to heal. That is a breakthrough. And so we see for a lot of the energy right now, that's why we see for a lot of energy, that ability to confront something and not be reactive is the breakthrough, because it allows for a whole new possibility of expansion to occur. Continuing, this is like going back. You ever go back in a video game and there was a wall, and then you go back and suddenly that wall is gone? It's like that. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Strength and our 8 of Cups in its reversal. May I please get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. Bum, ba, ba. You know that little sound? Masculine and feminine energy. This is why when you're in the divine union, the path work starts to expand, because it doesn't just necessarily become one of moving forward. It's not just about where you're going forward. It's where you can go backwards. If you can go backwards on things right now, you can go back to things, because what you are experiencing internally as you do that work is that your perspective, your healing, is now having an impact on past experiences, past circumstances, past situations. You are a different person. You've healed. You can go back to these things now, and there can be different outcomes, because you are a different person from the time that those things were triggering. It allows you to have some of this healing become retroactive, because what did I just say? You've realized that you can go back to situations and circumstances that previously used to be triggering, and now there are spots, opportunities, and spaces and places to facilitate healing. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, not so much. Don't get ahead of yourself. This is what the lesson of this is. You can't do this before you get into the heart of the divine union frequency, because this is what we were seeing was happening. You can't put the cart before the horse here. You have to be deep in the heart of the divine union to be able to do this type of work, because you can't just start to move into it and then assume that you can run back. You're trying to get ahead of yourself. So we see here for the energy coming into the divine union, the ability to turn one's back away from other outcomes, the ability to turn one's back away from things right now with the prioritization on where you're going. That ability of showing consistency is the vector, is the factor right now. And it's requiring that moment of realizing. And again, we saw that there was something about having to put some time on some things right now, even potentially energy that's trying to heal something karmically, with energy coming into the divine union right now. The ability to say, love to, but I can't right now, is what's amplifying the energy that can continue forward in the divine union, because that act of discernment, choosing and making the priority and letting that be the priority right now, is the most important thing that's helping you stay in and remain in the consistency of the divine union. That is the breakthrough. Being able to do that is the breakthrough. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, this opportunity that's coming through is amplifying what feels like it can actually heal versus what needs to be released right now. Feminine is being very pragmatic. Feminine's holding a lot of strength here. Feminine is not moving from their heart space. Feminine's moving from a space of boundaries and objectivity. Feminine's doing that hard work. And again, almost saying to masculine energy right now, I care about you, but I can't let that care block me in terms of what it is that I'm trying to manifest at this moment. This is why we see so much of the feminine energy is saying to masculine, give me clarity, give me intentionality of purpose. What is it that you want? And what are you going to do? Like, what do we need to do just to get there? Show me what your intention is and tell me what it is that you truly want. And we see here, this is feminine saying, whatever shape that is, the love of the feminine is almost being amplified by the flexibility of the feminine. This is feminine literally saying to masculine, if this is feminine trying to heal something with masculine, feminine's own ability to accept whatever reality masculine presents is the expression of the love. That's feminine saying, I will surprise you right now because I care about you. I'm willing to do whatever is necessary to try to find some path forward with you, even if it requires an unconventional approach. But that can only happen if you give back the expression of love that feminine needs right now, which is, say it with me, clarity, intentionality of purpose. Feminine saying, if you can't give that to me, then you don't care about me. You don't care about the feminine with the same degree of care that feminine cares about you, because you're not giving feminine saying to you that she would basically take any choice necessary to try to continue forward with you. And you're saying to the feminine in that case that you don't appreciate that enough to be able to at least give them honesty in what that is. Feminine's almost saying to masculine, just tell me what that is. Be vulnerable and I will offer you anything that you want. If the masculine cannot meet the feminine in that modality, this is feminine energy that's effectively walking away from the masculine. Because again, this is a feminine that says to a certain extent, you don't want to co-create with me. You just want me to be something. You don't care about limiting me in my own growth. You just care about having this be something that is about your autonomy and your will, while also having a possession of the feminine involved in that. Masculine, you may be seeing this right now on the part of a lot of the feminine energy in separation. Because what we are identifying right now for the feminine masculine separation is this moment and recognizing that the feminine energy around you right now, even if you got pulled into separation over this is either a moment that is allowing an opportunity to rebuild with the feminine, but it's coming from a state or space of having to be extremely vulnerable and open, maybe in a way that you haven't before. Or this is a moment that you're seeing that request from the feminine to be honest, to be expressive, not from a feminine that's asking something from you, but just asking you to be honest. If that feels like it is a bridge too far, if it requires too much strength to be that vulnerable, we see that this is you kind of moving forward and just continuing forward on your own path. But again, there's something that's potentially being observed here in terms of a feminine asking this from you that may be calling that question within your own mind, because this is a question that now that it is present needs to be answered, if not for the energy external to the self, to the question of the self within. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now, between our Eight of Cups and its reversal, in combination with our Page of Swords, in combination with our Queen of Wands. May I please have one card to clarify? Oh, I love these cards today. Absolutely love these cards today. We've got here our King of Cups, masculine and feminine divine union right now. This is it, man. This is our power couple. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. What do we have happening here? Look at this. This is what we want. Feminine embodying the masculine, masculine embodying the feminine. We've got here the balance point. Remember that overwhelm that we saw yesterday? The overwhelm was necessary. Why was the overwhelm necessary? Why was feminine giving masculine that support? If masculine was feeling an overwhelm of emotions and being like, I don't know how to feel these. I don't know how to express these. These feel overwhelming. And feminine was going, do nothing. Feel them. Masculine going, I don't know what to do with this. Feminine going, feel it. Just feel it. Let it stretch the room. Let it stretch the room inside of yourself and your own emotional ability to feel something. If this was masculine that was working through that allowed that to be the expansion point, this is masculine coming into further balance with their own emotional self, because this is masculine that felt a surfeit of emotions, but didn't come into a point of having to react to them, right? The kettle didn't have to go off. It was a masculine that, again, that pressure, that emotional pressure That emotional pressure leads to internal expansion. If you don't react, if you just allow yourself to absorb and to feel it. So masculine right now, we see masculine coming into that point, coming into that strength of purpose, balancing off where yesterday we saw that overwhelm taking place. This is masculine almost feeling that emotional expansion that's happening, that's stretching their own feelings as it were. Feminine, through their own stoicism, not getting reactive and seeing masculine in that modality, but almost telling and encouraging the masculine to be more vulnerable, to continue to feel in that way, offering that support. We are effectively seeing to a certain extent that in itself is that breakthrough point, because what we're effectively identifying is this moment that we are seeing that masculine and feminine are creating that sense of helping each other expand in the spaces and places that they are difficult or very hard to expand when not in divine union. Feminine, feeling like they can be their most strong, stable, authentic expression of self, embodying a lot of that activation energy, specifically from the emotional support of the masculine. Masculine, feeling the ability to come into deeper balance and alignment with one's own emotional, spiritual self because of a feminine that is standing in their power, that is almost creating in their own ability to stand on their own and to be in that powerful place, a place that gives you enough of a vulnerability point, a safe space to let your inner child break free. For both energies right now, this is creating a lot of excitement, a lot of opportunity, because again, it is going back to situations and circumstances that may have triggered you in the past and realizing that they no longer trigger you in the way that they did. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is coming into deeper alignment with one another, that is bringing you, when you're in deeper alignment with each other, you're in deeper alignment with the frequency. The more that you create this internal alignment, the more you stay in alignment with the frequency itself. Because again, it is that observation that by prioritizing each other's needs, and I have to stress this, you're not putting the other person's needs first and foremost beyond your own self. This is an energy in divine union where you have each other's back, but you're not completely just existing solely for the other person. That ability to find that midpoint, that ability to be able to say to one another, I don't need you, but I enjoy working with you. I enjoy building with you. I enjoy growing with you. The counterpart energy, having that be a moment of two energies that are, again, building that sense of mutual respect for one another, as well as an ability to collaborate and to put each other's priorities. It's not even the prioritization of the other that you are doing right now. It is the prioritization of what you are creating together that is defining the divine union. That ability to recognize and do that is what's creating a point of excitement, because again, that's why you're seeing that this isn't a limiting experience, because it's not just putting one other person's needs above your own. It is putting what you are building and creating with someone as the priority, and that feels like it is an expansive experience as opposed to a limiting one. Some energy that's fallen into separation right now, you don't necessarily feel like that's the case. For some of the masculine energy right now, specifically, this observation point may be identifying masculine energy. You may be feeling at this point that you're just not ready to take that step. There's a point of masculine recognizing right now, or feeling for some of the masculine in separation, that ability to co-create with the feminine feels like it is too restrictive. It feels like it may effectively be limiting some of the different opportunities and possibilities that are possible. Because if, again, this is a ratio effect. Masculine energy specifically right now, if you value your autonomy, if you value your ability to make a decision at the last minute, to do whatever you want, whenever you want to do it, to basically kind of live in a way that feels much more like, this liberated, autonomous experience, this could be a moment, masculine energy, that you may be coming to terms with the fact that divine union is either not for you right now, or not something that you're ready or desiring to aspire to. What we see that is interesting though right now, masculine, is you may be feeling like you are being challenged right now by feminine to make that the case. This is almost a feminine energy that you're realizing right now, even if in separation, that is almost saying to you, if that is true, That is also okay, but you have to be honest. You have to be honest about it. And why do we see that the masculine energy here, and again, this is why some of the masculine energy in separation right now may be feeling a frustration about articulating this. This is the feeling for a lot of the masculine energy that you may recognize that you being in that modality may not necessarily prevent feminine from trying to seek an energy that they can come into divine union with. Masculine, you may be experiencing that and you may be recognizing that, but you may also be recognizing that you have to be honest about it, because if not, all you're effectively doing is carrying a lot of unhealed karmic energy with you as it relates to feminine energy, not feeling like you're being fully authentic or expressive as it relates to what it is that you're truly seeking. Because what we're really seeing here is almost a feminine saying, let me surprise you as it relates to what you are and who you are and what you want in your life. Let's see if we can have some kind of point here that we can make something work. We're seeing here that the feminine in separation is almost saying that to masculine. This is feminine saying, let me show you that there's something here that we can work with, but it starts with your ability to be emotionally expressive, because feminine is seeing right now that masculine, your misinterpretation of divine union is one that you feel is based on what you're offering the feminine, not recognizing that the divine union comes through in how emotionally open you are to the feminine. It's not what you are, it is what you embody. So we see here that for a lot of the feminine energy, even recognizing this right now is trying to potentially articulate this to masculine and maintaining a level or degree of really almost feeling emotionally unattached as they do so, because this is a feminine energy that's trying to hold boundaries and say, the only thing that feminine doesn't want to move into right now are situations and circumstances that are trying to use the love of the feminine not to offer clarity and intentionality. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between, I love these, our Page of Wands, our Queen of Wands, Page of Swords, our Queen of Wands, and our Three of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify. Temperance. Why is feminine feeling so pragmatic right now? Why is feminine just moving right now and saying it's a yes or no? This is not feminine that's leaving any modality right now for wishy-washiness or uncertainty on the part of the masculine. The only thing that feminine is not inclined to build towards right now is a masculine that doesn't seem like they have the inclination or the aspiration in terms of what it is that they truly seek right now. Feminine doesn't have the time. This is feminine energy that feels like, again, they are trying to utilize their time, their passion for the best possible service, for the best possible directionality. This is feminine energy that, again, the only thing that feels like it is an uncrossable divide, a complete separation moment, eradication of any and all partnership possibility, is an energy that feels like it is refusing either, again, to provide clarity on what they want to build, or does not know what they want to build, because this is feminine that feels to a certain degree that that is a waste of the feminine's time. And that is why we see that so much of the feminine energy right now is almost calling on the masculine and saying, just tell me what you want. Don't tell me what you think I want to hear. Tell me what it is that you actually aspire for. And that is how the feminine is almost trying to amplify the masculine, that this is a moment where, again, the care and the love of the feminine is prevalent and present, but it needs to start on the clarity on making sure that you are both seeing something with that degree of optics. The clarity and the openness that you provide each other is the divine union frequency. Masculine, you may be seeing a feminine that is trying to articulate this to you if you're trying to lay new groundwork, but it may feel very difficult because we see here that this feeling of fresh start right now, potentially some anxiety right now, because again, even for masculine moving in this modality, we see here the fear is the fear of potentially opening up and being honest to a feminine, and fearing or feeling some sense of potentially that feminine making the determination point that they don't want to grow forward with you, knowing these things. But again, I need to stress, if that's the case, masculine, we're almost seeing here that that is a point of personal accountability that's coming to the surface, because again, that is that objectivity and recognizing that the importance right now for a lot of the feminine energy around you is being able to have a choice in what you're growing with them, as opposed to feeling like they just need to kind of navigate your own whims and desires. So for a lot of masculine energy right now, if you're in separation, having this work may feel like you're taking a different tactic, you're taking a different approach, you're doing something in a way that you never have done before, you're taking a risk. But it almost feels like, to a certain extent, the risk is the space or place that offers the reward. Because right now, the one thing that we're seeing is continuing to hold back in this fashion is almost leading to a space and place of complete separation. Feminine, seeing this on the part of masculine, again, and masculine that's at least able to start to have these conversations is showing the fact that there's something productive and possible and workable here, versus energy that feminine may just leave alone or walk away from if a masculine shows some kind of inability or refusal to do so. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is going to feel like an escalation into divine union sooner rather than later. And it's going to feel like things are moving at a much more rapid pace. Because again, it's almost feeling like the ground is like shifting. Everything's changing. Your perspective on things is changing, given the fact that you now find yourself moving in this vibration. It feels like something that you haven't necessarily experienced before. Because again, you're taking new approaches. That ability to, again, it feels less like you guys are in partnership so much as you are co-creators in what you are building together. And that sense of co-creating doesn't feel like a limitation point. It feels like an expansion. Masculine and feminine in divine union, you've already felt like this for a long time. The energy in this frequency is laying the groundwork right now to expand that feeling beyond themselves. This is that moment that we see here, that even now it feels like there's a work in progress here, because again, experiencing that point, tackling an internal hurdle, realizing that a trigger that was there previously is no longer there, is now almost creating a state of excitement, because it's giving a bunch of robust new ground from which to build. Because again, it's almost feeling like, where there was a wall, there is now a valley. Where once there was nothing, there is now something. There's something that no longer is the limitation or barrier here, that's almost allowing you to enhance and broaden your experience, not only moving forward, but also in the relation to the past and anything that may have previously been triggering you from the past. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Fool and our King of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. We have to have a little bit of, we have to have a little bit. It's been so good so far. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now. The only thing that's tricky about this was intentional. This was intentional coursework we're seeing here. Masculine and feminine intentionally address something difficult within that they're now experiencing that breakthrough on. It's that easement. It's that stretching. Masculine, you're feeling that internal stretching. Feminine, you're feeling that like heightened sense of power. So again, this is almost that moment, masculine and feminine energy looking at something right now and saying, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Because again, this is feeling a bit like, again, what do we do in strength training? When we get a little bit stronger, do we stop and say, okay, good. All right, we nailed that. We know how to do that now. We're not going to do that anymore. No, we get excited about it. We go, oh my God, I just figured out how to do it. Let's do it again. And it's not the fact that it's easy, right? It feels like it's a challenging space. It feels almost like a sparring space, if you will, energetically, emotionally. It creates a little bit of conflict, but that conflict feels like it is productive. Because the conflict is leading to internal growth. It's not doing something for the sake of hurting oneself. It's not moving in that unhealed space. It's not coming from a lack mentality. It is addressing something that is challenging because it is expanding one's own ability. It is expanding. It is it's pushing one's own limits, but in a positive, productive way. Masculine, emotionally. Feminine, from a sense of adventure, from a sense of possibility. What has feminine been learning right now, coming into their own self? This is masculine saying, become more yourself. Grow more. Be more of that. Continue forward on that. What if you went a little bit further with that? Feminine is feeling masculine, going, I'm going to keep emotionally supporting you every step of the way. Feminine, seeing masculine, broadening their own emotional landscape. It's challenging. It's hard. Feminine saying, go forward. Go further. Feminine's like, I've been out there. I felt that. Go even further. No, don't worry about that. I've already been through this valley. I know exactly what's on this. I can help you through this. Feel those feelings. Feminine's like, I've got you every step of the way. So we see here the energy in the divine union is, again, intentionally, energetically, and emotionally navigating fraught territory for the sake of the strength and the bond and the ability to continue to grow and expand one's own internal horizons through that intentional effort. Masculine and feminine right now coming into divine union. This again feels like less intentional work. This is that observation that when you come into divine union, there's always going to be some energy. Gonna be mad about it. Gonna be big mad. Gonna be mad. They're not gonna be happy about it. It's not ideal. It doesn't create the ideal circumstances and situations for all the energy around you to have you in divine union. That observation point is a point of acceptance, because again, the energy coming into divine union is not coming into divine union for the benefit and the sake of the energies outside of the union. They're doing it for what they can create together. And realizing that there'll be moments that what you're choosing to co-create together feels like it's oppositional to the energy around you is just it's just a fact of existence. This is why we see for the energy right now that feels like energy was pulled out of separation because of outside energies having priority, why there was such a detrimental separation that was created, because it's not the fact that being in divine union is something that you do only when it's easy. It is demarcated with how you move when things get difficult. It's that point and recognizing that the prioritization choice sometimes makes things a little bit more difficult, but that's not what stops you or pauses being in the divine union. You effectively choose to navigate those difficult terrains together. Masculine and feminine in separation. This could be why you're discussing this if you're trying to come back into divine union. If you hit divine union and then someone's own priorities pull them out of it. We even see here that feminine is trying to show masculine and say, especially if this is masculine saying, well, I was going through a difficult time or something difficult was happening. This is feminine almost trying to say to masculine, like, that happens. It's not about the fact that difficult things don't happen as you're coming into divine union. It is about what you prioritize that identifies whether you're ready to be in the divine union frequency or not. Because if you're in that modality and you're not necessarily, if you're continuing through a point of conflict and you're insisting on maintaining a point of, and not like of singular thinking, of autonomy, that's feminine saying you are making that choice. That's not a circumstance that you found yourself in. That was a circumstance you found yourself in, and you made the choice to prioritize your own self above navigating it together. This is why we see a lot of the feminine energy isn't inclined right now to have to try to explain this to masculine, almost just to show it to masculine so that they can recognize it going forward. Masculine, you may be having a feminine right now that's almost amplifying. If you're trying to say to the feminine, well, I did this because I wanted to save you from having to deal with this. I did this because I wanted to protect you from this. This is a feminine energy saying the fact that you view divine union as something that you need to protect me from is almost articulating that you don't understand how divine union works, because when we're in divine union, we don't protect each other by pushing each other out of our lives. We protect the divine union by navigating difficulties together, because our prioritization is in protecting and preserving the divine union. So this is why we see even now there could be a lot of conflicts happening in terms of masculine trying to advocate that their intentions might have been pure, and feminine almost trying to say to masculine, I get that your intentions are pure, but your way of thinking about something is really, really, really off and requires a different perspective. A different perspective. Different perspective is divine union is having a different perspective. Do you understand? Okay. Continuing to get clarity. Continuing to get clarity. Even if I can't explain it, if you don't understand that, then that's the problem. Like, continuing to get clarification. Our King of Cups in combination with our Temperance is clarification coming through right now. And this is feminine. I have to stress, if I got it, God, masculine energy, I got to stress this to you. If there is a woman, if there's a feminine, not a woman, if there's a feminine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, that is trying to walk you through this. This is not coming from a space or place of trying to push you away. This is a feminine that potentially cares about you more than anyone on the planet. Because if you understood the level and degree of patience that a feminine energy is expressing right now, the level and degree of patience of a feminine slowing something down so much, something that they feel that you should just know internally, something that feminine recognizes and understands intuitively in the fiber of their being. If a feminine is if they're expending breath to walk you through something like this right now, I want you to recognize how much that energy loves, cares, and adores you above any and all thing, because this is literally a feminine energy that is pushing through their own level of frustration, their own level of just like being ready to throw their hands up in the air and just run in the other direction to try to get you into emotional balance. And I have to stress, they're not doing it for the sake of getting you to offer them something. This is literally a feminine energy that is trying to do this so that you are better, so that everything is better for you. So just like everything will be better for you. Like, it's not even them doing it for the sake of trying to get you on board with doing it with them. This is feminine energy that is doing a Florence Nightingale, trying to save the world by saving you, by trying to help you come into emotional balance, by going through something that you are potentially trying to make a conflict out of, that you're articulating or seeing as a conflict, but is really just a feminine doing everything in their power to try to express something to you to help you understand divine union better. Masculine, if you are in this with a feminine and you're seeing this, you may recognize, I hope you recognize, if you're in separation, a feminine that's going to all that trouble is really amplifying to you that is coming from a state and space of deep, profound love. Like you may be feeling right now and seeing, and even now, masculine, you may be feeling the frustration in trying to explain to a feminine that something that they saw around you was misunderstood. You yourself may be trying to match the feminine in that modality. And again, if you are doing the work and trying to come into alignment, do you understand? If you're doing the work and doing everything in your power to understand the perspective of the other energy, that's divine union. I'm going to say it again. I don't know how else I can say it. If you are doing the work, to do everything in your power to understand and to grasp the perspective of the other energy, that is the divine union frequency. You can either do that or you can't. If you are in a conversation with a feminine that's trying to do that, and you're instead trying to insist that your perspective is correct, you're not trying to come into union. You're in separation, trying to get an energy back. Feminine, the same way. If you're insisting right now that this is the only way that something can go, and you're not leaving yourself open to the masculine trying to articulate to you what they were intending versus how they moved, then that's also coming into separation. It is the ability to try to see each other's perspective and be patient in that zone that is effectively amplifying whether the energies are ready to come into divine union or not. Masculine and feminine energy right now that are in separation, recognizing this right now, even now we see that there's a point of impatience, because a lot of energy is coming into separation right now if they feel that the other energy isn't coming towards them with the sense of clarity and intentionality. And if feminine and masculine isn't doing that, then that's leading to separation. But there's a lot of healing that could be occurring right now, even in separation, because we see feminine is feeling validated if they feel like they offered that to masculine and masculine did not recognize it for what it is. Feminine's like, I can't do anything there, because this is a masculine that can't see when I'm trying to help. They only see it as a threat. Masculine, you may be seeing right now, again, this feeling of potential frustration if there was a feminine that, again, was trying to amplify something to you, but you didn't see it as them telling you what they saw, but instead took it as a point of offense. You may be, again, seeking a feminine that feels like they're only going to be in a space or place of giving you positives instead of notes. So a lot of energy potentially coming into healing today, a lot of energy amplifying the separation point. But these are the reasons why. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This ability of seeing one another and putting each other's needs first and foremost is already starting to build an environment where you may feel yourself changing. Masculine, you may be feeling you're much more emotionally open than you ever have been with the feminine, because again, this is a feminine energy that's emotionally supporting, finding you in that space. Feminine, you may be feeling a masculine that is opening up to you about their feelings and emotions in a way that they haven't before, and that's further amplifying your own feeling like this is a masculine that's putting your needs above other energy, prioritizing you above all. That mutual feeling right now is almost leading to a much deepening, an amplification and a much faster escalation into divine union right now. Things progressing much faster than you may have even expected or anticipated, because the emotional and spiritual bond is forming even stronger. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency, you guys do this for each other all the time. Now, it's more almost creating this sense of excitement, because again, you've created this moment where every time you challenge one another, you challenge each other, you create a space where each other can be challenged. You're building that. You're almost like coming through in a way that's saying like you came through something successfully, and you're feeling the impact of doing so. You're feeling the positives from having gone through something that felt like it was difficult. And now it's almost creating this moment of building again. This is almost going to feel more like this childlike excitement, being like, let's do it again. Let's do it again. That was fun. Let's do it again. Because again, the hard part's over, and now you're just benefiting from the positive. It's making you kind of forget how difficult it was over the last few weeks as you were going through it. It's like you're already like erasing the tape, if you will, on how hard it was, because now you're just seeing the positives, you know? Final card for today's spread, between our 5 of Wands in combination with our Empress card. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, I love it. We've got here our 9 of Cups. What an incredible card to finish our day off with today. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union. This is why we see that you're intentionally, this is intentionally moving into a space of continually trying to challenge yourselves. But again, this isn't challenging as in creating arguments between yourselves. This is in challenging internally, moving yourself into challenging spaces and places. Because again, feminine is feeling the power of having, again, almost triggered themselves and not reacting, being able to maintain their vibration of love through experiences that may have previously triggered them. Masculine, the ability of seeing a feminine that's able to do this is almost amplifying again just how much of an environment you've created that the feminine is able to embody this truly to a point that like you're feeling like you're seeing that change in the feminine. You're seeing that, and you're feeling the responsibility and pride of seeing a feminine coming into their fullest expression of self. And then even also at that moment, we are recognizing that feminine energy's own ability to amplify this love, to be in this vibration, it's challenging you. It's challenging you. It's not that it doesn't create some feeling of chaos within you right now, but it is expanding your own ability to hold emotions. It's that ability you're also feeling like, in a way, you are also karmically healing something right now, because it is allowing oneself to feel what may have potentially triggered or created a feeling of triggering for you again in the past. But instead, that ability to hold that expression of emotionality, that ability to like allow oneself to like expand one's own ability of feeling as opposed to coming into a reactivity space, that is the challenge. That ability of feeling that patience, that ability of like feeling and holding and carrying that overwhelming emotion, but not letting it make a space of reactivity, but instead expansion, is also why we see right now that you are also feeling like that sense of abundance coming to play right now. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is that observation point of feeling some point of benchmark being reached, because it isn't the fact, and I have to stress this, it's not the fact that coming into divine union has been easy. It's the fact that you did it anyway. It's the fact that you went through some moments or some hurdles that feel like they're causing some friction right now, but you're not letting those points of friction tear you apart. You're addressing them together. You're prioritizing masculine, you're prioritizing the needs of the feminine, even through points of conflict right now, and recognizing masculine that that's just kind of a state of being. That's a shift. That's a vibrational shift that's occurring, that's changing your own outlook on things, because again, it's not the fact, it's almost like it's a point of recognizing where your care and attention is. That's almost amplifying right now why it feels like an internal shift happening. Because it's not necessarily like anything has changed around you. Your care about what's happening around you has changed. It's like, again, it's not the fact that there isn't some conflict here. It's just the fact that you feel like in a way you've kind of like risen above the fray. Because again, your focus, is what you've got your attention on. And your attention is on the divine union. Feminine, the same thing. Seeing a masculine who's able to go through some hurdles. It's not that things have been easy, but a masculine that's almost not caring or showing a lack of care about anything that may be trying to create static around a divine union forming is amplifying a feminine that realizes and recognizes. This is a masculine almost saying again, where do I have to go? What do I have to do? I don't have to do anything. I just want to be here with you. That amplification of feeling like this is it, this is what I've got, everything I need, that is amplifying to the feminine that you guys are almost immediately moving deeper into this divine union, because it's that sense of contentment that's coming and arising within the divine union that is shifting your own priority and landscape. Feminine energy right now in separation, this is that moment that feels like a little bit of a challenging space for some feminine energy right now, because this is feminine energy that may be feeling a point of conflict with masculine, but they're not letting it change or adjust what the feminine knows that they deserve and desire as it relates to their own emotional or romantic needs right now. This is feminine energy that's almost, again, potentially feeling like they're dealing with some conflict around feminine, trying to just find out what masculine wants. And this is a feminine energy that, again, isn't letting themselves get caught into the fracas of it, even though it does feel like there may be some energy around feminine right now that feels like it may be more reactive, may feel like there is something here that may feel more akin to a fight. But this is feminine energy that's almost like coming into a point and saying, even if this is a feminine, I have to stress, if this is a feminine energy that is going through a point of conflict right now, this is a feminine energy that is almost trying to articulate in that conflict that the desire is not to fight. The desire is to get clarity. This is why we see a lot of this feminine energy just walking away from anything that feels like it is intentionally trying to be provocative and obtuse rather than providing clarity, because feminine in a way is seeing any confrontation, any argumentation of feminine asking for clarity as a point of distraction, as something that is being thrown up to avoid providing that clarity. That's all feminine seeing it as, and that's why we see feminine just kind of walking away and letting that be a point of understanding, because if this is a feminine energy that is asking for clarity and getting conflict, then this is feminine energy that sees that the conflict is a smoke screen being put up to prevent clarity. Masculine, you may be feeling right now that there is something about a challenging space as you try to move towards the feminine right now, because again, this is feminine energy that is asking for clarity. The problem for masculine energy right now, potentially in separation, is potentially that anxiety point in feeling like maybe the feminine is asking you for something that they're not necessarily ready to hear, or that fear or that anxiety of, again, wanting to say what you think the feminine wants to hear versus something that you're fearing may create a point of conflict. But again, feeling that amplification of recognizing that if you're on the healing journey, there has to be an ability and a desire to be open, even knowing that something that you say to the feminine may create a conflict point, recognizing that, again, an energy that truly cares and values you isn't going to try to create conflict. They're going to try to find something productive to move through anything that is a conflict. For some of the masculine energy right now, turning away from that conflict, not being ready to have that conversation, is almost this moment of potentially recognizing that there may be something that you're feeling right now that feels like your ability and desire not to come into divine union may be a threat from you being able to be in union with feminine, period. But again, there's only one way to know that, and that is by being open and honest in your expression of what you want to ascertain if feminine feels the same. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is Six of Wands in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy here, what we're seeing is that anxiety point is all springing from the fear of a lack of success here, right? Masculine and feminine energy, even in divine union right now, there is that anxiety point that comes into play here about necessarily not about this work, potentially not coming into that point of victory that you're hoping for. For the energy in divine union, it's this point of observation. That, remember when I said that some of this work almost required you to relinquish the outcome for the sake of the personal journey? It's not the fact that that outcome isn't aspired or desired. There's a recognition that you are not moving in this way for that desired outcome. That doesn't mean that there isn't a desired outcome that is there. And even now, trying to surrender that is still creating a bit of a conflict point. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now. The anxiety space is coming in the feeling or the fact that you're just coming into this. And again, when we just see a divine union forming, it may feel like the stakes are raising right now, because it's almost like the amount of importance and significance that the other energy is coming through in as a part of the other person's life almost makes it feel like there's like a lot more possibility of the bottom dropping out on something, because you haven't built that sustainability of reassurance in terms of truly feeling like what you're creating right now is going to hold that consistency point. So even now we see that that energy feels that anxiety in making sure that you guys are on the same page, that you're moving in this way, and that what you're feeling isn't going to be something that is taken away from you or again moved away, because there's some feelings right now that there's energy that's like immediately still in the fringes that is trying to make this occur. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is feminine energy trying to explain to masculine that if masculine isn't being open and clear, there's no future. That's feminine almost saying, like, if masculine isn't being, it doesn't matter to a certain extent what the outcome is. If masculine isn't being articulate on what that is, then it's not even a question about whether feminine cares about masculine. Feminine feels like they're being put in an impossibility point because, again, masculine isn't giving feminine the opportunity of choice. And that in itself is already showing that something has reached a failure point. It's like masculine trying to build with a feminine. And if you're not providing the clarity and intentionality, this is feminine that already feels like everything is lost without this. Masculine in separation right now, that modality, that fear of expressing one's true honest self is due to the fact of how it's being received. There's a feeling with masculine of an anxiety point and feeling like feminine is potentially asking for something but doesn't truly want to receive it. So for masculine right now, having to navigate that hurdle and recognizing that when you put that kind of offer or opportunity in front of feminine, there's always that possibility that the feminine will decline it, is something that needs to be faced, but also it needs to be recognized, because much like the energy in the divine union, speaking from the heart and relinquishing the outcome is key. That is how we discern and define love. Speaking from the heart and relinquishing the outcome. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings, thank you so much for that gift, are done over video. And if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind that if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please, 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 please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never inbox you. I'll never slide into your PMs and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages. And